Oh,
Hello.
how are you?
Hello.
Good to see you.
So nice to see you.
So good to see you.
Oh, yeah, of course there's a downstairs. I was here last time. Do
Yeah,
I sit right here?
Yeah, that's your spot. Oh, we knew you were gonna come in the best outfit.
I tried to do something fun back.
That's as fun. It's really
That's as fun as it gets. Are those board shorts?
What is that?
That's a term for like swimwear that's like for surfers, board shorts.
No. They're these Walter von Beerenbank. I have a problem with his last name, but he's this Dutch guy.
Okay.
But I was in San Francisco the other day, and he made, it was like a lady's house coat for men with this fabric.
Ooh.
But the fabric is linen mixed with polyester, and I wore the jacket thing, and I was so sweaty.
Oh,
and then I thought
it's hot.
it wouldn't work for my book tour because you're in, you know, a store, and then there are a lot of people in there, and then it gets hot. So anyway,
Oh, but that's so cute though. But you got the shorts instead.
but the lady's house coat was pretty good. Yeah.
That is good.
I'm confused though. Did you buy the lady's house coat and then have those shorts made?
No.
Oh,
They had the
okay.
shorts too.
Oh, okay.
And so
I was like, wow, you're really.
I don't mind being sweaty on the bottom,
Yeah,
Sure.
sure,
You know?
sure. Yeah.
but I don't want to be go
Yeah.
into the bookstore and then be like
Yeah,
wet with sweat.
Yeah.
totally.
Do you pose for photos with people in the signings?
Never.
With a
Because
smile, he
otherwise,
said,
that's all you do.
for the listener.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all you do.
Right.
So I could either sign somebody's book and talk to them or have my picture taken. Sometimes I'm in the airport and someone says, "Can we get a selfie?"
Yeah.
I say, no. I say, but this person here can take our picture. I say, oh, I ran into my cousin in the airport. Can you take a picture of us? And they're always happy to do it. But the selfie thing, I don't know that there's anything about contemporary life that is more puzzling to me. That when you see somebody, you know, the way you are, let's say in front of a mirror when you're alone,
Yeah.
to be that way in public. And when I see people and they're doing the angle of their head and all of that in public, I just feel like it'd be like a nightmare about being on a toilet in public. You know?
Yeah,
Right.
you just get used to. It's like the way of the world. This is how these people are making money.
Yes.
I know.
Sometimes when I'm on the bus in England, I'll look over people's shoulder and they're on Instagram
Mhm.
and all their friends look just like them.
I know. Everyone is starting to
yeah,
look like
yeah.
one thing.
So I was one time on a TV show with Ashton Kutcher. You know who he is.
Uh-huh.
And you know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at one point we're sitting in a pickup truck. We're about to film a scene and he goes, the fucking network asked us if we could take like a couple like selfies while we're working. I was like, oh yeah, okay, great. And he just so cavalier, he like holds the camera down at his hips and starts shooting up at us. There's only like a 3-degree angle where I look good. It's definitely above. But he has the freedom to shoot any angle he wants. And he shows it. I'm like, yeah, you look incredible in all these photos. And I look like a monster. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, HP, for supporting this episode. Parents, you've got enough on your back to school list right now. Ink cartridges do not need to be on it. They just don't. The HP Smart Tank printer uses a refillable ink tank and comes with up to 3 years of ink included. It's the last printer you'll ever need. To learn more, search HP Smart Tank. Can you imagine that kind of freedom though? Like, I don't care. Aim the picture anywhere. Put it, mount it on my shoes and shoot straight up in my nose. It'll look great.
I think that's how a stick insect would feel. Good from any angle.
Something has happened since you were last here. I can't imagine it has gotten to you, but maybe it has because you're on tour currently and there are often armchairs in the audience, right? You tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is lovely. Has it gotten back to my this parasocial thing that my obsession with you?
Parasocial, what does that mean?
And that is this like faux sense of intimacy you can have because you consume like a podcast all the time. You're with them. It's about their lives. And you're very confused because you know so much about them and you're kind of living with them in your car and in private. And it feels genuinely like a relationship. And so over the last year, I think since you've been here, I have become obsessive about, I listen to you every single night. I've listened to some of the books like 5 times now. Every single night for a half hour before I go to sleep, I'm re-listening to all the things. And I've been growing more and more like entrenched in these fantasies where I'm going to be with you in Normandy or somewhere. And I think, I would get along so well with you and your friends and all these conversations. I'm like, oh yeah, I could fit in perfectly. And I came and I had to admit to Monica, I'm like, oh, I'm having this thing people have described that was so abstract to me. But now I really have it. Like I have a deep ache when I'm listening that I'm not with you on tour or in Europe or something.
And it's tricky because he does know you.
I already know you. Yeah, this was very confusing. But how does that land with you?
I feel that towards certain people.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. Alan Bennett.
Who's that?
He is a national treasure in England.
Okay.
Most people here know him. If they know him, it's because he wrote The Madness of King George. But he's written... he's written lots of plays. He started off with a group called Beyond the Fringe, and then he's written novellas and plays and movies. But he releases his diaries and he reads them, and it's his voice that I listen to him. He did a series called Talking Heads. I can listen to it anytime I can listen to that.
I'm so happy you know what feeling I'm describing. And doesn't it kind of hurt that you're not involved? Like is there a sadness?
Well, what scares me is that there was a antique store around the corner from my house in London. And I know the owners, and I would go in and they'd say, you just missed Alan.
Oh.
He left 2 minutes ago. So I've always just missed him, and now he's in his 90s and he sounds very, very frail. And I know people, he's the kind of fellow, if you write to him, he writes you back.
Oh, really? So have you written to him?
No. Oh. I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid I'll miss him. I don't want to miss him. You know, I don't want to impose myself on him.
But he would love to meet you.
He knows who I am, which was surprising to me. But I'm on the BBC, and so he probably...
I mean, there's a million reasons why.
Okay, but what's funny, and this is what I've been kind of trying to work through on the show when it comes up, is like, I have your number, you know?
Yeah.
I have your address. And then I just keep like, it's just this very weird zone where it's like, my desire to reach out to you is nightly. Like I just hear something and I've heard it 25 times, but this time I like it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this would be so annoying. And I'm policing myself.
Really? I've never thought of you as a pest. I mean, you wrote me, I was in England and you were in New York, and I was like, damn it. I'm going to miss him, because that would have been really nice to, to have you over, to go out or do something.
Does that author, writer that you just mentioned, I guess the diaries are what makes it parasocial, right? Like it's not like I'm not going to have that with Dostoevsky. Like I know I can't hang out with he and Raskolnikov. Like it's all imaginary. But because your work is so much about your real life, I think that's why this whole parasocial thing happens. And is it his work that's like about his own life that you can just see yourself joining?
He's written some personal essays that are about his own life, but it's the diaries mainly and I listen to them over and over and over, and I can listen any year of his diary, anytime. His latest series of diaries came out, and hadn't come out in the United States yet, but I'm going to England in a few weeks. And I can get it there, but I really want the audio.
Yeah.
But he's very frail now, and I'm afraid that it's somebody else reading it. I don't know what I would do. Well, I'll just read it myself. But I've heard him so many times, I can read it in his voice.
Yeah, right. Do you have an approach with your diary, or do you even care? Or what are you generally writing down?
Well, today my schedule is kind of crazy.
Okay.
But normally what I would do is get up in the morning, and first thing I do is write in my diary. And I'm on a tour, so I go down to breakfast and I write in my diary on my tour. But today, because I have to worry about getting my steps in, so I got up at 6 and I walked like 4 miles, and then Hugh's with me, so we had breakfast together. So then my friend Alyssa, my publicist, brought me here, and I said, oh, you know what? Can I sit in the back seat? Because I just needed to write in my diary.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of just what happened. And then I saw my note about Miss Young. And Miss Young, I checked in for my flight yesterday in San Francisco, and I had agent, who checked me in. This black woman, and she was maybe 60 years old, and she was missing 2 teeth.
Okay.
And her name was Miss Young. And that was on her tag. And I said, I got to say, I love that. I love that I don't know your first name and that you're Miss Young. And so we talked about that, just about how everyone's calls each other by their first name now. And I said, one thing I hate is when I board the plane and the gate agent says, welcome, Mr. Taylor. Welcome, Miss Baxter. Welcome, Mr. David. Because they're afraid to pronounce Sedaris. And so they're just being lazy and they're making it look like it's a typo. And I know it's not a typo. And nobody cares if you say, can you help me pronounce your name?
Sure. How do you
Nobody
pronounce it?
cares about that.
Right.
Happy to do it. And it's just laziness on their part. But it's not about me. So I'm not going to stop the boarding process to say, show me where it says that.
But you've done that when they bring your meal, I know.
Yeah.
You've asked to look at the manifest. Yeah.
Miss Young was in complete agreement. And I just shared such a nice moment with Miss Young. So that's what made yesterday memorable. More memorable than this book signing I did.
Yeah.
More memorable than the people I met at the book signing was just because I had a real connection with Miss Young.
Yeah, yeah.
If you had heard her first name, do you think it would have ruined it? Do you think it would have ruined the illusion?
Yeah. I mean, if her name tag said
Danielle,
then it wouldn't have been
special.
Because everyone else just had their first name on their tag.
Oh, so she was doing something unique.
Yeah.
I didn't get that part.
Me either. Oh, interesting.
Because sometimes in a situation like that, it's just a one-way street. Like they call you Mr. Sedaris and then their name tag says Deborah.
Yeah.
And then it feels wrong.
You're being familiar and they're being unfamiliar.
Well, partly too, because in so many professional situations now, the people who work there are 10 times better dressed than the people who are the customers. You get into a car and the driver's wearing a suit and tie, and you see people like getting in the back seat, with swim shorts on, and a t-shirt over
board
it.
shorts from France.
And so they're Mr. Duncan,
Yeah.
and then the driver is Hal, so it just seems
Mr.
uneven
Duncan
to
in a
me.
bathing suit.
I know.
And then Chip in a fucking tux.
Yeah.
Okay, another curiosity I had that struck me, spring and fall, you do about 100 cities in your talking tour. Your hair is always really kind of kempt. It's really tight and cut. And I thought, you're not traveling with a barber. Are you constantly in a position where you're in a new town trying to find some kind of barber that you could trust? How are you maintaining your short haircut on this tour?
I will go to anyone to get my hair cut. If there was a guy with a blowtorch on the side of the road, I'd go. But what I find in New York now is all the barbers are from Azerbaijan.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And so I wrote an essay about it because I'm in the Epstein files.
You are not.
I'm in the Epstein files.
You are?
Yeah, I am. For some reason, Jeffrey Epstein emailed somebody an article from the New York Times that was 2004 or something. And it was about a bookstore in Paris where I'd done a reading. And so it mentioned my name.
Oh my God.
And they mentioned Don DeLillo's name and a couple other, Toni Morrison's name, right?
Oh, shit.
And so I'm in there. So I went to get a haircut and I said to the woman, I said, I just found out today that I'm in the Epstein files. And she said, what? Like she spoke like 17 words of English.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I needed her to
have a reaction.
Appreciate what?
to have a reaction.
Yeah.
So to me, getting a haircut is simply about the conversation.
Yeah.
Like my hair is unimportant.
You never regretted one.
No, because again, it would just be funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wrote about this once. I went to a barber in Tokyo and he had shit on his hands.
No.
And I could see it,
No.
like a little smear of shit on his hands. And every time he raised the scissor, I was like,
Oh.
And you were like, I'm not getting up, I'm not leaving.
And he didn't speak any English, and I used all my Japanese, but I don't have.
There's no way
You have
Duolingo.
shit on your hands, right?
There's no way you practice. Excuse me, sir. I happen to notice you have defecation on your phalanges.
Oh.
And and he's a lovely guy.
Oh no.
And I just.
Could you smell it?
Oh my God! Every time he raised the scissors.
Fuck, David.
Every time he raised the scissors to my face, I could smell it.
Shocked you didn't just get up and leave.
I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to.
So
This is where
your mixed messages.
Yes, I think we're all full of contradictions. But one is like you tell this guy on a bus in England to turn or a train to turn his radio off. You'll do that, but you won't say to the man who has shit on his hand.
Getting dangerously close to your
You know what? I just realized that I am late for an appointment, or I don't know what you would say.
But when I go to a barber, I say, because they all want, they just use the shaver on my head, So I say I'm the number 2, and maybe he thought I said
and then he just goes, "Oh, that's already done."
The number 2 scissor cut.
I already have number 2.
Or he's like, "Okay, if you really want that." Oh no!
Would you be open to a barber saying because I think this happens to women a lot. Like a woman will go into the beauty salon and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm so tired of this look," and then that hairstylist gets to go like, well, would you like to try something new? And then they get to get creative. If someone pitched you that in one of these barbershops, like, have you ever thought about doing something new? Would you let them go wild just to see how it
would depend on the person. Like I met somebody the other day and I bought something that, gosh, I would not have otherwise bought. And he didn't give me the hard sell. It wasn't like that. I just liked him. And I walked into a store and he didn't say, welcome in. He didn't say, how's your day going so far? Within a minute, he'd used the word boyfriend. Within a minute, I knew so much about him. And I just liked him so much that I bought this crazy shirt that it just felt like part of our relationship, for me to get this. So a barber could say, let's shave your head.
Right.
And if it was the right barber, I'd say, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I'm old enough, so I remember this, when you would go into a barber shop and the barber would have Penthouse magazine and sometimes Hustler magazine on the table. It was like a real men's space, And I remember getting haircuts and I was in Toronto and the guy said, where do you live? And I said, Paris. And he said, what's that French pussy like? Like they would talk like that. Barbers could be filthy.
Oh my God.
Filthy.
As if they're anatomically different.
Wow.
You should have made something crazy up. They're sideways.
After a certain age, you feel like you've taken steps back to say like, oh, like what, that pussy is fine. That is so tight and whatever the words are. I don't know even
and
know
they're
what
just looking
you don't
at
even
you
know
like,
what's really preferred, right?
Yeah.
But then you feel like really I've come this far to go back because this jerk, But then if you'd said, well, I would have no idea. I can't tell you anything about it. And I actually can't tell you about French dick either because the only dick that I'm getting right now is my boyfriend's and he's American. Like, I don't know what happens.
I think that would have opened up an incredible conversation.
It could.
Depending
let's
on
say
the
I'm your
person.
barber, so you just said that. And then I would go, yeah, I guess I'd imagine French penises are not circumcised, right?
That would be really good.
No, you're on to something, right?
Right, exactly.
You're on terra firma. We can go somewhere.
But that's you interested in everything.
Yeah,
right. You're hoping that this is a very open-minded barber.
The guy asking about the French pussy is probably not going to continue. I think he's going to stop talking at that point.
Yeah.
But my problem now is everyone's from Azerbaijan and they speak 15, when you speak to them, they're like, oh, don't make me. It's like when I go for a pedicure. I've gone for 2.
Yeah.
My sister Amy took me, and then I took my friend Dawn for pedicure. And the women were like, oh, don't make me.
I know.
And so it was just, I felt like it was wasted money because I was just sitting there and I wasn't talking to anybody.
Yeah.
I guess that brings me to another one of my questions. Because your work is mostly about your real life travels, do you ever panic that you are going to run out of material? Like, do you feel that sense of like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be bumping into interesting people at a signing? Or do you have any anxiety about that?
One of the essays in my book is I got bitten by a dog, right? Now, if I got bitten by a dog again, I'd be like, fuck, I already wrote about it.
That's
like
right.
I can't use it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be
A worthless biting.
yeah.
Because I think you and I have the same thing. I don't write about it, but I love telling stories. And often I'm like mid-disaster, like something's going terribly wrong. And then I just get that little moment where I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a story. And then I can kind of enjoy the rest of it because I know I'll be telling this. And I'm almost just grateful for this situation.
Yeah.
I think it's a neat way to reframe your life if you know you're just out there trying to get amusing stories for everyone.
To me, what's unfortunate, right? Last week, I spent 12 hours in the Nashville airport, right? And I heard other people talking. Well, we boarded the plane at 8 o'clock and they said we were supposed to leave at 8:30. And then at 8:30, they said, well, it's going to be a 10-minute delay. And then they said there was a part missing on the plane. And they said they would call mechanics to come and look at it. And then we waited on the plane and they said, we're going back to the gate. And we got off the gate. And then they said, and it was like, oh my God, it's a boring problem.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a boring problem that nobody wants to hear.
Yeah.
And that makes suffering it that much worse
True.
because it's so boring. And there wasn't anything interesting about the day.
Yeah, it's just one complaint. It's just I was at the airport for too long, basically.
Well, then I got to Denver
Yeah.
and they didn't have my luggage had gone to St. Louis.
Oh no.
And so I had to talk to the guy at the luggage office and he said, if we open your suitcase, what are we going to find in it?
To be cute? Or he really
'cause
wanted to know?
You know, how do they know it's my suitcase?
Okay.
I mean, I had a tag on it, but
Yeah.
I said, well, if you open it up, I said, you'll find a Burberry Dop kit. I said, it's plaid, but not their iconic plaid. And I sounded so gay. You know?
It's not going to leap out as Burberry.
They're iconic.
It won't be super obvious.
Oh man.
But that was the only interesting part of the, I mean, that's the only part of the day worth talking
Worth
about.
noting.
And
yeah.
you'll scribble that down somewhere. That'll get scribbled
Yeah, I wrote
down.
about it in my diary. Yeah.
Back to the dirty magazines. I haven't had the pleasure of going into a barbershop that had the hustlers and stuff, but one of my first jobs at 15 is I worked for this race shop and I worked with like all 30 to 45-year-old mechanics and I was 15. And it was like a dive into the deep end experience with male culture. Like they were immediately joking about fucking me and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is extreme. And then, yeah, in the bathroom at work in the shop, they had a stack of the nastiest. I mean, it made Playboy look like Hallmark, you know. You could really see inside of everyone in these. And I was 15. And so I would have to go to the bathroom like 2-3 times a shift because I didn't have access to that kind of material. And I was just constantly in there looking at those things.
And see, now you can go in there and take pictures with your phone and then have them at
Keep
home.
them
But
for
back
later.
then-
That's definitely more hygienic. I mean, those magazines
it's terrible.
are
I know what the other men were doing
Exactly.
with, covered in grease. They were in there for a reason.
But I wonder though, because I don't know this, but does that male culture, is it alive and well?
I'm trying to figure that out too, because I also moved from Detroit to LA. So here when I'm around and I get to be around from friends of ours, 15 to 17-year-old boys. I have access to like a group of them where I get to see them interact. And they do seem so much nicer than boys were when I was that age. And they seem way less perverted and insatiable for all that. But again, I don't know if that's because I'm in LA and I'm looking at kids from West LA. You know, do you have any sense?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But you know, when I go to the barber in England and when I go to the barber in France, it's not that way. You don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
those magazines.
Have you been watching Half Man?
I watched the first episode.
I love it. And I was trying to tell Monica, I'm like, what I love is how accurate they got, how weird us little boys are. Boys are so fucking weird. There's a period I just think we're so strange, where it's like everyone's got to get their dicks out all the time, and boys are sword fighting. It's just it's fast. They have this thing, and they're just not sure what they have a sense that it's supposed to be being used, but they don't know what for. So just all this weirdness comes out.
I love in the movie Bridesmaids, where one of the characters she has sons, and she talks about how disgusting they are.
Yeah.
And their sheet cracked in half.
Cracked in half. Did you ever find any naked men magazines when you were a kid?
No, I found nudist magazines.
Okay.
And it was interesting because nudist magazines, right? It's families being naked together, right? So those are naked children.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought, like, if you had old nudist magazines in your house,
Right.
could that be considered child pornography?
Oh,
But-
interesting.
No one in the nudist magazine meets your gaze, right? So no one's looking at you. They're playing volleyball,
Right.
or they're cooking hot dogs or something.
Yeah.
But for pornography to work, there has to be an engagement.
And some implication of like sexuality. Yeah. As opposed to like, we got to get these dogs off the grill and into these kids' mouths. Everyone's starving. The nudity is just secondary.
But I wondered about that.
I do wonder, because someone's taking those pictures. If it's a magazine you can purchase, how could it be? How
I
could you
haven't
ever get in
looked at
trouble?
nudist
for that?
magazine. I mean, the only ones I've ever seen were old,
Right.
you know?
Well, think about these photograph magazines your father collected.
Right.
Right. They had people under 18 nude in them sometimes. He was wanting to take one.
Yeah, like, Photography Today, or, you know, magazines like that used to come out in the 1960s and 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really curious if like you have something that was of the era fine that is now here.
Yeah.
I bring this up all the time, not because I want anyone to go in blackface. I don't think anyone should go in blackface. But when these photos emerge of people in blackface in the 80s, I think it's really important to remember there was a major motion picture that was in 3,000 theaters called Soul Man about this lead character pretending to be black to go to college. And he was in full black body. And that was at the Cineplex in 88. So yeah, if someone that same year went to Halloween, clearly the culture at that time, it seemed completely fine. It was like a major motion picture. It's so hard to imagine right now, but that really happened in my lifetime and no one cared.
When all those pictures of politicians being in blackface came forward, I wrote something that when I was a kid, like you would dress as a Native American, or you would dress, but it wasn't like you felt like you were getting away with anything. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like you had no ideas for a costume. That was kind of like, well, fuck, I guess I'll go as a chief.
But I think that's hard for people now to conceive of that. But we're doing something now that is going to be
I know.
in the future,
Yeah.
but we can't even guess what it is. We're sitting here in
Exactly.
this room. We can't even guess what it is.
We're doing something deplorable right
I
now.
know.
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
And even trying to imagine, like, is it drinking water from a can?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it,
books
Having
with
a candle
paper?
on the table?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so I've been on this kind of tirade of, or not even a tirade. People will just ask me what I listen to because everyone knows I listen to something to go to bed, and I've been telling everyone, I've been this year of listening to you every single night. And when I'm encouraging people to do this, the way I hook them on you is I tell them the story of the tortoise that or no, it wasn't a tortoise, it was a snapper turtle that you developed this relationship with. And I think it's kind of my favorite story of yours in that I think it encapsulates exactly who you are as a human being. So I just want to walk through that a little bit with people. In short, you bought this wonderful place, the C-section on the island. What's the island?
Emerald Isle. North
Emerald
Carolina.
Isle. And you thought this would be a great place for my family to gather. And then you started doing that. But once you were there gathering with your family, you're like, I don't want to be in this house with all these people. And you take a walk. And then what happens? You discover this turtle under a bridge.
There's this canal there, and it's just filled with snapping turtles. And with, water turtles too,
Mhm.
but they're massive snapping turtles, like the size of your suitcase.
Oh,
right?
God.
And their face is intense, right? The actual beak
Yeah,
on
there was
the thing
one
is-
in particular that had a tumor on its head.
Yeah. And that was the one you really felt affection
drawn
towards,
to.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was because the other ones you memorize, you know the one with the tumor on it. It's like he's wearing a hat.
Yeah.
A hat.
But are the steps you started noticing people were feeding them garbage like Ruffles potato chips and
Yeah.
and you were like they got to eat something better than this. They can't be designed for that.
Well, I was feeding them raw hot dogs, which I don't know how much better that is, but they'll eat anything. A snapping turtle is just going to eat it and then think later, like, was that a piece of human shit? And I don't think anything can be too disgusting.
Lowbrow.
For them.
No, they'll eat carrion. They'll eat whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care. But you started feeding it like, I don't know, did you do some chicken livers too, maybe?
Yeah, chicken legs, chicken.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
As parents, our mental to-do list in August is already doing that thing where we're trying to enjoy summer, but the first day of school is just pinging in the background because we know it's coming. The forms, the supply lists, pickup and drop-off times, and the last thing parents want in the whole spiral is, oh, we need to print this by tomorrow and we're out of ink again. That's the idea behind the HP Smart Tank printer from HP, America's most trusted printer brand. Instead of those little cartridges that know how to run out at the exact wrong moment, the HP Smart Tank uses refillable ink tanks, and it comes with up to 3 years of ink included. 3 years! That's 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade without the tiny cartridge drama. Because let's be honest, middle school does not need our help adding more drama. I love this printer. We have it.
It's great.
And I look at that tank and I go, oh, we're so safe.
It's like magic.
Let it rip. Sometimes I panic about printing a whole script. Not now.
Oh, nice.
Total freedom. HP can't fix middle school, but the HP Smart Tank, can fix the ink problem. Search HP Smart Tank. We are supported by Allstate. Checking Allstate first could save you hundreds on car insurance. Not checking what the warning light means before pulling out of your driveway, you absolutely convinced yourself it was probably just a sensor thing right up until you were standing on the side of the road waiting for a tow. Yeah. Checking first is the right move. So check Allstate first for an auto quote. It could save you hundreds. And for fast, reliable help when you need it, add an Allstate roadside plan today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary. Insurance and roadside assistance plans are subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Insurance provided by Allstate North American Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Roadside assistance plans provided by Allstate Motor Club, Incorporated, an Allstate affiliate. So when did you get I know you were on tour and then you discovered you had this lipoma tumor. Tell people what a lipoma is.
I was in Paris one day and I noticed it seemed to pop up overnight. It was like half a deviled egg under my skin.
Yeah.
Right.
Overnight.
Right above my hip. Right. And I went to a doctor and I said, he said, oh, it's a lipoma. And I said, is it going to get any bigger? And he said, probably not. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know. Why don't trees touch the sky? Which I thought was such a good answer.
Yeah.
And he said, there's no need to get it removed. He made me feel vain for wanting to get it removed.
Right.
And then I went to a doctor in North Carolina and I said, can we cut this out? And he said, yeah, definitely. And I said, because I want to feed it to a snapping turtle.
There we go. But do you remember where that idea came from, or it just felt very natural?
I just finished this essay about why some people want to feed wildlife and why it's not important to other people at all.
Yeah.
Right? I know people who never occurs to them, right?
Me, I don't.
Oh, really?
Never think about it.
I never go to Central Park without food.
Yeah.
And I feed squirrels. And then I started feeding birds. And then not long ago, I started feeding crows.
Oh.
And it's fascinating to have a new creature to feed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and they love hard-boiled eggs.
The crows do?
Yeah.
Okay. We're feeding crows too.
Oh, you do? What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
feed yours?
We've tried every single thing. I was putting out like really nice lunch meats for them and stuff. Kristen was trying different berries and stuff. They love dog treats.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I think they're real smelly, those dog treats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love peanuts in their shell.
That's what I heard, but ours don't care about that.
Raw chicken breast. Love
Raw
it.
chicken breast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's great about the two camps is there's people who want to feed animals. And it's not just that the people who don't want to feed animals don't want to feed animals. They feel vehemently that you should not feed animals.
Right.
To not want to is to put you immediately in the camp of like, you shouldn't feed animals, right? It's very vitriolic.
But it's also like, it's easy for you to say because you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to hard boiled eggs. You don't have to get them. You don't have
It's lazy.
put fill a Ziploc bag with damp paper towels to wash your hands. When you go to Hyde Park, like it's just a few blocks from my house in London, and crows recognize 100 human faces.
Yeah.
And the second day you go, they're there. You know?
Yeah.
And you look like a warlock. All of a sudden you got 30 crows dancing in front of you on the street.
What power.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
Yeah.
And it opens a whole new world. But another world just got open because we have a pasture behind our house. And this shepherd was keeping his rams
This
there.
is in England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping his rams there. And rams are just assholes,
Yeah.
Anyway, he's not having sheep anymore. So our pasture was empty. Someone in the village looking for a place to keep their donkeys. We have donkeys now in our
Really?
pasture.
Oh, that's
So it's a whole new things to feed and get to know.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited
And
about
he was
that.
a don't feed the animals person, right?
I went to the park with him and he didn't feed a single squirrel. And I thought, oh, he's embarrassed. Like if I
Oh.
go through a trash can because I'm looking for, looking for something shiny or
Yeah.
just something I can use for one reason or another, he'll walk ahead.
Yeah.
And if I'm picking up trash, he'll walk ahead.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. I thought, oh, he cares what people think, more than
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Right.
But I had this lipoma, and then I thought, people who get their legs amputated, right? Alligators would love to eat a leg.
It's
right?
wasted. Yeah.
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 And instead, and this doctor said, I cannot give you anything I cut out of your body.
Oh.
Right.
Do you know why? I don't know why.
I don't quite understand it either.
I know, like they I think they're under the guise of it would be a liability issue, but what's the liability? How,
But a lot of dentists won't even give you teeth anymore.
yeah, well, I just think that's mine.
But they could have, someone told me it had to do with flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah, bacteria.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
could see that.
But I bitched about it one night on stage, and this woman came up afterwards in El Paso, Texas, and said, I'll cut that out of you, and I'll give it to you to keep.
No.
Yeah.
One
She's
stop.
like, meet me in the bathroom.
She was a doctor, not a surgeon. And she
Okay.
said, I'll cut you open if it's above my, I don't usually like this word, pay grade.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll stitch you back up and send you on your way, but it shouldn't be a problem. And so after my show, it was like 2:00 in the morning or 1:00 in the morning after the book signing. She drove me across state
my
lines
God.
into New Mexico
It's a great place.
What?
Yeah.
to a clinic.
Okay.
And there were a couple other people that came with us. And it was really simple. And she cut it out of me. And then I went to her house, hung out later. I didn't sleep at all and went back to my hotel. She shipped it on ice to one of my sisters, and she brought it to the beach.
What?
But months have gone by, right? You're
Yeah,
kind of
months have gone by.
anticipating this for months. You
Yeah.
know you have this delicious lipoma sitting on ice,
Oh,
and you're
boy.
so excited to get home and feed it to this.
And it didn't amount to much.
Yeah.
And you were gonna feed it to the snapper, hopefully that had his own tumor, right?
Right. And then I was told that one died.
Oh.
Because my brother and my niece are down there a lot.
Yeah.
And they said, Godzilla, and it turned
they
out
call
lots of people had different names for this snapping turtle.
Oh.
So I fed it to a different one. But it appreciated it.
I hate to give away my family and I, because I've told you I also listen to it with my daughters a lot. We often lay down. That's part of our routine is to listen to one of your stories. But the story ends with you saying, that's the great thing about turtles is they'll eat it and barely think that. Whereas a dog, if you feed it a human turtle, it'll eat it, but then it'll give you a look that says, fuck, is that a tumor? I mean, what a fucking
But a turtle
That
doesn't
is
even
so funny.
give it a second thought. But to me,
Fuck.
it's just about waste.
Yeah.
I mean, even so many of our waste-related rules are just lawsuit stuff, like
Trying to avoid lawsuits.
Right. You can't give somebody, if all these hamburgers are left at the end of the night, you can't give it away to people because they might, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you can give it to an alligator.
They're not litigious alligators.
Yeah.
No.
Or there's all kinds of creatures, that you give it to dogs or cats.
Yeah.
Or I don't understand why. And there's these dumb rules in place.
Do we agree, though, there are a couple of good policies against feeding animals when it comes to like extremely dangerous animals, right? Like you wouldn't encourage anyone to feed a polar bear and get them more comfortable with your backyard, right?
No, or bears or
lions.
coyotes.
Coyotes, I was about to say.
Yeah.
There was a scenario down the street where a woman was feeding these coyotes, and then, more and more and more came. The one got run over, and it's like a whole to-do.
That's also
They
my
eat all
sister's
these
theory,
dogs.
right? Is that her? Yeah, her investigative work.
Yeah.
I don't have total confirmation of how much she
Well,
was
she
feeding them, but
said-
my sister has figured this all out.
I got to say, I'm afraid to say,
Say it.
if I lived in a place and there were coyotes,
You'd feed them.
I'd probably think, I wonder what they want to eat.
You feed the foxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which everyone does in England, right? In your area? They
No,
just throw
not
the
necessarily.
scraps in
There
the
are a lot of
backyard?
people who, I know people who throw scraps in their yard and then maybe they'll be gone. But there was this fox that she was eating out of my hand
Oh my God.
in England, eating out of my hand.
And you're not worried
No
about
one
that.
had seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Nobody. People were shocked at this fox, right? And then our neighbors, they have chickens. They paid someone to shoot her while Hugh and I were in the United States, right?
The fox?
Yeah. And then I
Oh.
thought naively, well, maybe there'll be another one. No, but Hugh just saw a fox in our pasture that has babies. So I'm thinking maybe we can, 'cause if you can get those babies, if you can get them.
domesticate
eating,
those, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Whenever you see like people who have foxes for pets, they're gleeful almost, like and they're affectionate, and they lay on their backs and they seem to be smiling, but at the same time they're like, I gotta get out of here. I got, like all wild animals.
Yeah, they're animals.
I gotta get out of here. A woman came last night to get a book signed. She has a squirrel,
Uh-huh.
and I said, does it get in your linen? Does it hide nuts in your food in your linen? She says, yeah. But it has the second floor of their house,
Oh
but
my
it comes down every morning and jumps in their bed at 6 o'clock to wake them
Oh
up. Yeah.
my God.
And they let it out.
And it
Oh.
comes
And then
back.
it comes back. It'll just go out for like 2 hours and then
Like a cat.
ready to come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're real smart, we found out.
wild.
We
Squirrel.
constantly do these lists of the smartest animals, and they're always on there, shockingly.
Yeah.
They can live to be 20. Squirrel.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Did you grow up with pets? I forget this. You
Dogs and cats,
Okay.
hamsters.
regular
Yeah.
variety.
We've had you on enough times, and now I've read every single thing you've written. Do you think about how you've changed as a writer? Because I kind of was going backwards, so I got really conscious of how much the earlier stuff is different than the modern stuff, and I'm wondering if you're like even think about that, or you've noticed how your writing's changed.
I'm very aware of it.
You're very aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you explain the evolution, how it's changed?
To me, a difference would be like my second book was called Naked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was under a deadline to write it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before I started going on tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So none of those essays was read before a live audience.
Right.
I mean, until the book came out.
Yeah.
And everything in it is twice as long as it should be. Everything in it is you see somebody straining for a laugh and like kneeing, elbowing you in the ribs. Get it? And it's awful. It's just awful. When people can't see the difference between that and then the last book, I'm like, what am I here for if you can't see the difference? Also, it's a difference that first book or the second book, if you were meeting somebody for the first time and they didn't know anything about you, you would say these were like big moments in your life,
Yeah.
right? And so I wrote about big moments
Yeah.
in my life, but now I write really about nothing.
Yeah, small moments.
I think you're one of the only weird hybrids we have, that you're somewhere between a stand-up and a writer, I think. And I wonder if you agree with that, which is stand-ups write a thing in the morning, or even they have a kernel of an idea. They go out, they try it a little bit on stage. They take the feedback from that. They work it a little more, right? There's this really back and forth process of having the audience help guide them, which is unique to stand-up. But because you have been doing these lecture tours for years and years and years, wouldn't you say you're working in a kind of a similar format? There's a couple of your live readings, like on Calypso, that I said, if you put it into AI and you had it AI analyze, are there more laughs per second in this than there is this Chappelle stand-up piece? You are blowing some stand-ups off the stage, just laughs per second. Like you're really this weird hybrid. And do you think about that part at all?
Reading things out loud and then going back to the room and rewriting them. That piece that I wrote about feeding animals, right? My biggest laugh in it came from, I was just during Q&A. No one asked about that piece, but sometimes before the questions come, I've just run in my mouth. You know? And I was talking about the relationship between blue jays and squirrels, right? Whenever you see a squirrel, you're likely to see a blue jay.
Oh.
And blue jays get up in the tree and they watch squirrels bury their food, and then they go steal it.
Wonderful.
Right? And blue jays eat baby squirrels. And squirrels eat blue jay eggs and baby blue jays.
They're a two-person circle of life.
And so I found myself saying on stage that I love that, given how now we'll cancel somebody over an Instagram post, it's nice to know that amongst certain animals, eating each other's babies is not a deal breaker. Like you'll still hang out with each other.
Still a symbiotic relationship. Yeah.
And so I wouldn't have thought that at my desk, but I said it on stage and people laughed really hard. And then I put it in the piece.
Yeah.
And so that happens. And another thing that happens is that I read something out loud and then people come up and they said, oh, I had a similar experience, or, oh, this thing happened to me. And so I can stitch it. I don't claim, I don't then say it happened to me. I'll give them credit, but that can help it grow as well.
Okay. The other thing, Ark, I notice is, and this is not unique to you, I think this is the arc of most people, which is like, you're kind of nicer now. You're beautifully agitated a lot, which is a source of a lot of your funniest stories. But you have a different disposition. Would you agree? And which makes sense because you were kind of a late starter and you didn't know if this was going to work out for so long. So you had accumulated a lot of living at the bottom of the barrel issues you would have, but you're less angry. Is that a fair? I don't even know if the angry is the right word.
Right.
Can you feel that you've gotten lighter as a person over the last 30 years?
I don't have anything really to complain about. I mean, like nobody is telling me that I can't write. Nobody's telling me I can't put a book out. I mean, sometimes you'll submit something to an editor and they'll be like, no, not because it's poorly written, but because you said something that they think is insensitive, but they're not saying you can never write again.
Yeah.
They can say, change it. And I say, fuck all y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I read that on stage and I know it gets a huge laugh and you're just coward,
Yes.
But I don't really have that much to complain about, but I'm angry about a lot of things. Like I'm angry about, don't you just hate it when, and again, I know how petty this sounds, right? Yeah. So you go to the hotel, because I'm going to a hotel. I started this tour April 1st.
Oh, wow.
Right? And you go to a hotel and then they run up and to open the trunk of the car so they can get your luggage out. And if someone touches your luggage, you got to tip them. That's a rule.
I know.
Yeah.
So fine. Here's $10 for taking my suitcase out of the back of the car. And then they say, we'll send it right up to the room. And I say, no, I'll bring it up to the room myself because I don't want to have to wait for it. No, it's already on the way up. And then it's like, okay, that's $20 more. And that feels like, again, if I were going out of town one weekend per year, I wouldn't, but I'm going.
Yes.
I've been at this.
You're checking into a hotel every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person who says, yeah, sorry, I don't have any cash on me. Because I go and I find the ATM that will let me have $5 bills and then $10, and I pick them, and I constantly have my money ready and have it down, and you just fucked me over for tomorrow.
I think a lot of this is just like how frequently you travel. If you only hear how was your flight, how was your trip, welcome in, you only hear that twice a year, it's not even going to register. Right. But it's the repetition that starts driving you mad, I think. And so my issue with the bag thing, when we pull up to a hotel, I'm fine with tipping. In fact, it's like a thing I get off on. I don't need that. I can handle this bag. I don't want to be separated from it. It has my journal in it. This is all these reasons why I don't want a bunch of different people getting it to the room. And it seems insane because I can manage it. So I have a couple built-in ones that work so perfectly. If I'm with my children, I go, no, they got to learn to handle their own business. Thank you. Right. So they go, oh, cool. He's trying to teach his kids not be brats. And the other thing you can say, and this one works so well, David, is they go to grab my thing and I go, oh, I'll take it. My mother would be so disappointed if I didn't carry my own stuff. And then they go, oh, okay, yeah, he's just trying to like live up to what his mom expects of him. So it takes all of us out of the equation. Like if you got beef with somebody, it's my mom, or if you got beef with something, it's my kids. It's not me.
Okay, you're going to your room and you don't have that much time. You can't take a shower. You know, if you on a trip like this, yesterday I got in from the airport and I had 15 minutes before I had to leave for the bookstore.
Stressful.
And so I had to take a shower, and I can't be waiting for you to bring me my luggage, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
I don't have that amount of time. And then I get off on tipping people too. But then it's like, I told you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I tipped that guy for opening the trunk of the car, basically.
Yeah.
So again, and I know people have to make a living. And when you complain about that, people are like, you're a dick, you know, but if it's your life and if you're traveling constantly, that's the thing too. I'm in Vancouver the other day. This car meets me at the airport and he says, how was your flight? And I said, you're better than that. I said, you know, that's a nothing question. And I said,
you're better than that.
And I had the best conversation with this guy.
Did you?
Oh my goodness. After that.
Right? Yeah.
Because I said, you're not opening a door with that question. You know? And I say, my flight's fine. And you say, perfect or whatever. And then,
we're done. It's a cul-de-sac.
And even when I was in the airport 12 hours, how was your flight? I'm not going to, because I say I was in poor you.
Oh, yeah. Travel these days, these airliners.
I was in a car last month and the guy said, I think we met once before. I was in Cleveland and I took you to such and such. I had my computer and I said, oh, right. You've got 3 sisters. And I'd written down, if I were him, I would have been a little bit afraid.
Right.
You have a dossier on
and all the stuff that I had written in my diary about him. But he was a completely interesting guy.
Yeah.
I had this driver a while ago, and he was divorced. And he said, we're driving, and it's like a 4-hour car ride, and we're somewhere in the Midwest. And he said, do you want to go to lunch? You know, which just wouldn't happen. He said, I know this drive-in. And he said, it's a clown themed.
Oh.
It's not a drive-in, a diner. It's clown themed diner.
Perfect for
anyway,
you.
so we went, because it was just so unheard of for a driver to say, like, do you want to have lunch?
Yeah.
And it was just, like my schedule that day, I couldn't think of anything better than to go to a clown themed diner
with a stranger.
With this guy who, he wants to do stand up and he didn't tell, like, I didn't have to fake laugh or anything like that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel stuck in those situations? Like you're at this diner with this person. You're not worried like, I'm going to want to go and how will I get out of this? Or how will I tell him it's time for us to go? Like I would get really in my head about that.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't worry about that.
Yeah.
Again, I think because, and this is my hunch, is like, you're kind of always on the hunt for a story. right? Like this is your business.
Yeah.
You write about stuff. So any situation's potentially like
I know.
fodder for work. You can always frame it that way.
This guy who I travel with sometimes, lovely guy, but he wouldn't ever think to talk to the guy driving the car. To me.
Right,
Mhm.
Would
right.
Never think to do it. We were in the Midwest and the weather was just horrible. And there were no flights. All the flights from the airport were canceled. So he said, we got to get a private plane.
Mhm.
We got a private plane and it sat like 10 people. And I said, let's bring 8 people with us
That's nice.
because no one's leaving here. But if you said to people, I can get you to Louisville, Kentucky, I bet some people. And he said, no, they might talk too much. And, I'm forever angry at myself for not saying, it doesn't matter if they talk too much because it would be such a nice story for those people.
Of
Then these guys
course.
came up and next thing we knew, we were on a private plane because most people don't get to ride in a private
No,
plane.
never.
And it was going to cost the same amount regardless.
Yeah.
So why
You would
not
have given them a story for their
bring
entire
people
life.
with you? But anyway, it comes down to waste again.
Yeah.
Mhm,
You know.
mhm. Yeah.
Why are you going to waste that tumor?
Yeah. When it would make this
What a
Godzilla's
sentence.
day.
There's
What
hungry
a
turtles out there.
I joined Kristen. She had a press junket down in Cancun one time. This is years and years ago, probably 15 years ago. And we went down there. And so I have nothing to do all day, but they've given her a driver. And then I have a friend who was just in Cancun. He's like, oh, you got to go to this one restaurant. It's this old restaurant. It's legendary. It's super nice, blah, blah, blah. Great. So I asked the driver in the morning, like, hey, do you think you could take me to this restaurant? He's like, oh, you're going to love that restaurant. It's the most famous restaurant in town, blah, 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 blah. I go, okay, great. So I'm going to meet him at noon. And then the whole ride to the restaurant, the guy's like, he's like, oh, yeah, I take a lot of people to this restaurant. He's going to tell me about the restaurant. And then as we pull up, I said, you've eaten here, yeah? And he goes, oh, no, I've never eaten here. And I go, oh, well, come on in. Let's eat here. And he's like, no. And I'm like, absolutely. Come on, dude. If you've never eaten here and you've come here a bunch of times, let's go. So I have lunch with this guy and it's super fun. And then when we get out, he very much wants to like reciprocate. So he's like, anything I can do for you that you want, that was just so nice. And I go, yeah, I want to see where everyone that works at these hotels lives. Like I see the presentation, but I want to see like, where do you all live and what's going on? He's like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll take you to where I live. And so we're driving around in this little neighborhood. And then he goes, oh, yeah, my girlfriend lives right up here. And I go, oh, cool. And he goes, can we say hi to her? I go, yeah, absolutely. So then we pull into this, it's a little cinder block house about the size of this studio. And we kind of just walk in because it's his girlfriend and she's like in a sports bra and like, whatever. She's not dressed for company, let's just say. And then so they start speaking in Spanish and you can tell she's so confused. Like, why is this tall white dude in my house? And then he goes, oh, she really would like a photo with you. Can she have a photo? And I go, yeah, absolutely. So I go, I don't know how this happened, David, but it somehow the photo was I sat in the chair by the computer and I thought she was going to stand next to me. And then she just kind of sat on my knee. And so now I'm in this photo with a Mexican girl in a sports bra in a small house. And I came back to the hotel. I said to Chris, and I go, hun, potentially a photo may emerge that looks very, very guilty. I don't know how I ended up in this photo, but I did take a photo with a woman in a sports bra.
I never learned to drive a car. And so I've never been in a car by myself, right?
Right.
So,
Do you have nightmares that you'll have to drive?
oh yeah.
yeah.
But it's like with you being in a car, I mean, I can see how somebody listening would be like, fuck all y'all, like, oh, I wish I had a driver. But
Yeah.
it's like when you go on tour, right? So a
Yeah.
car is going to meet you at the airport and take you to the hotel.
You can't do the
It's not
job
a-
without it.
No, it's not a stretch limo.
Yeah, right.
But it's a car service. But if you were renting a car and you're just driving it, you're guaranteed, unless you get a flat tire or something, there's not going to be anything to talk about. But there's a potential there to have a really nice conversation with a stranger and to learn something. To me, that's what it's all about, is to
you're just so curious.
touch somebody,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get evidence
Yeah.
that they're a person, and then they get evidence of you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. Tell me about the evolution of everyone in your stories is real life people in your life. And I think, of course, you're hardest on yourself. You expose all of your own warts the most, but also you just tell it like it is between you and Hugh. You'll tell it like it is with your sisters and your brothers and your dad and your mom. How has that evolved at the beginning? Would people get mad at you? What's this kind of like, what's the unspoken rules about how you write about people?
Well, my brother, like, for instance, we had an argument about something in 2016. And then he said he didn't want me to write anything about him. And anyway, it took a long time to get beyond our argument. Like, it wasn't worth estrangement.
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
So I wouldn't say we were ever estranged, but I would say maybe it was strained for a few years.
He's a lot younger than you?
Yeah.
How much younger?
11 years.
Yeah.
And then I had a show in Raleigh, and everything I read featured him, you know?
And he came?
Oh, yeah. And he was so happy. But again, the laughs that he got were his laughs.
Yeah.
People weren't laughing at him. They laughed at the things he said that he knows are funny, but he's not going to get up on stage and do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not a writer.
Yeah.
Right?
So he's learned to enjoy that, probably through getting to experience the live show.
I think when he said, I don't want you writing, I knew what he meant. He was afraid I was going to write certain things about him.
To make him look stupid or something.
No, just identify him in a way that, if you have a business, you can't anymore. If you have a business, people are just so quick to then
write you off.
Yeah.
But he's such a wonderful character in your life because he's 11 years younger than you, and he is the prototypical Raleigh dude, right? Like he did perfect in that situation. He and your father were best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said, that's my best friend when he was dying. And
well, Paul can speak to men in a way that I can't.
Right.
He can just speak their language.
He's very colorful in the way, unless you're putting words in his mouth. He also has a very unique way of communicating. He's got tons of brilliant little sayings and colloquial things, right?
Plus, he had a floor sanding business, so he was hanging out with people from the country.
Yeah.
And, if there's grass on the field, I'll play. People who say stuff like that. He's got an ear, and he's always known what's funny.
Yeah.
Has there ever been tension, though, where people really didn't like it and they confronted you about it? Or has everyone made peace with it?
I give it to them first.
Okay.
And say, is there anything you want me to change or get rid of?
And how often do they flag something?
I'm trying to think.
I bet it's the same ratio of our show. We let people cut out anything they want to cut out. And I bet it's 1 in 10 interviews where someone does have something they want cut out.
Most of the people who have said to me, I don't want you writing anything about, I wouldn't have written it anyway.
They're flattering
it's
themselves.
just not.
Yeah.
It's just not interesting. It's the same way that quite often if someone comes to get a book signed and they say, I've got a funny story to tell you, it's not funny. But if you're just having a conversation, sometimes they'll say things that are just amazing. Like you just hit the right.
Because they're just being themselves. They're not
button.
trying.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
So did you date a lot before Hugh? Because I feel like dates must have been hard.
No. I had a boyfriend before I met Hugh that I was with for 6 years. And then, I had a little awkward rebound after that.
Uh-huh.
But it was before I had published anything. And then I met Hugh.
Okay. Because I was like, people must just constantly, I can just imagine these dates where they're trying to prove to you that they're so funny, and that would be miserable.
Well, I think it would be hard to date somebody.
Period.
It'd be hard to date somebody, period. But if you all of a sudden went on the dating.
Yeah.
If people knew who you were.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's hard.
No, you
Yeah.
know that everything that happens in bed, they might tell a tabloid at some point. So
Right.
you're like, wow, I got to keep that in the back of my mind. So you
Right.
really feel like you could trust the person's never going to do that.
And I've never written anything about, even my ex-boyfriend. I've never written anything about our sex life. I've never
Yeah.
written anything about Hugh,
Yeah.
our sex
Right.
life.
Yeah, you know the line you don't want to cross.
Yeah, I think the most info you've ever given us about you and Hugh's sex life is Tiffany called you one time and said there's a man that wants to fuck her up the ass with a strap on. And do you know if Ambisol reduces anal pain? And you said you're asking the wrong person. And then she said, well, put Hugh on. You said, it's still the wrong house. Call someone else.
That's one thing you never want to know that about someone in your sister. You never want to know about your sister's sex life.
You said, and the fact that it was for money shouldn't matter, but it did. I got curious about your sleep schedule now that I've read so much of your stuff, because so many of your stories will involve a walk that starts at 1 a.m. in New York, or you're working on something at the house in England at 3 a.m. Do you have a normal thing? Does it evolve a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it changes a lot. Like in England, quite often I'll go out at midnight
Yeah.
and I'll walk to the train station and pick up trash on the, that's like, I don't know, 2-hour walk maybe.
Right.
And then I come home and I'm up for a while. So, I'll go to bed at 3 and wake up at 10.
And do you have any guilt? Do you care about what your sleep schedule is? Do you just follow whatever your desire is? Like, I want to go for a walk right now and I'll wake up when I wake up.
Yeah. I mean, normally I just became free. I just became free a couple of days ago because the past almost 4 years, then let's say I wake up at 10, my Duolingo XP boost would expire at noon.
Oh.
So that would only give me like just under 2 hours.
Oh.
And then I have to cash in that XP boost. And because I needed to be in the top 3 in the Diamond League, that takes me an hour.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I said to somebody 10 days ago at a bookstore, I said, does anybody know how to turn off the leaderboard for Duolingo? And this woman said, I can do that for you.
Oh.
And turned it off. And now I have no idea what league I'm in. I have no idea my ranking.
Oh.
I was competing against people who maybe don't even exist.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
ruining my life.
Oh, wow.
So now the Duolingo says, I want you to do this, this, and this today. And it might take 15 minutes. It might take 20 minutes. And I say, you got it. And I'm free. I mean,
wow.
it was ruling my life.
Well, this is one of my questions is Duolingo. So people that have read your previous books or have even listened to episodes that we've all done together, you were deeply addicted to your Fitbit, which then turned into your Apple Watch in this commitment to get 10 miles a day, which is how many steps? Like 20,000 or something?
More than that, probably.
Let's see.
30,000? What's 10 miles?
10 miles. Well, let's see. I've been I've walked almost 5 miles today.
Yeah.
And I'm at, stepwise, I'm at 10,000. So like 20,000.
Okay. Yeah.
steps.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so that was your obsession, and that was taking up a huge chunk of your day. And then came Duolingo, and that has its same weird addictive properties, right?
Yeah.
Why is it that thing has ensnared you in the same way as the Fitbit?
Well, I had to be in the top 3, right?
Uh-huh.
So a normal person might, and it's complicated, but a normal person might have 300 extra points at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I would have 27,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And what it meant too is that I'd go back to it in the evening. And so after a while, you weren't even learning anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
But the problem was that I would do it. I'd go to the airport and I'd do it at the airport if I was on tour. And then I'd do it walking home from the fitness center when I was in New York or walking. And then I was that person on the street with the device in his hand looking down. And I was so ashamed of myself being that person. And that's what I'm free of.
Right. You had become what we call an addiction, cross addicted. You're now using your Duolingo and your fucking steps obsession all at the same time. Do you care or do you explore what's going on? Why you're susceptible to that?
Well,
Let's start with do you admit and acknowledge this is peculiar behavior?
yes.
Okay, great.
Because I know so many people who do Duolingo and they do it like my friend Dave, like, oh, I did what they asked me to, and now
I don't care about being the top whatever.
But again, if I was spending an hour and a half a day, and if my German was like, oh my God, your German's perfect.
Yes.
It might be different. But the way to get points is to have a conversation. You can have the same conversation over and over and over and over. Right. And then you're getting 180 points a pop. And that's what I was doing.
That's where the money's at. So you would admit like the goal of being fluent in a language is kind of secondary to this weird point structure you've been roped into.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do we just think it's the addictive brain or do you have a different explanation?
No, it's the addictive brain.
Yeah, I guess that's all we're trying to do is plug something in that won't kill us.
But what's interesting to me is that there's something coming. There's something's coming my way, and I can't begin to guess what it is. But it's like, I like before someone gave me a Fitbit, it never occurred to me that I would have to walk like that. And before someone turned me on to Duolingo, I had no idea. So it could be, like, it's not over.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. It'll just move to something else. Yeah.
Right.
But I cannot right now tell you, I haven't been introduced to it yet. But it's going to be awful.
Do you think it's amusing or annoying for our partners? Because Kristen seems to roll it out in dinner party conversations as it's kind of amusing, which is she has seen me be addicted to the weirdest stuff. I had a phase where it was toothpicks, right? It was tea tree oil toothpicks, but I wanted the strongest tea tree oil. So I was getting them from Australia where they have like probably an illegal level of tea tree oil that would be permitted here. And I chewed them so much that I started to get scabs around the corner of my mouth. It was like deteriorating my skin. And then I switched to Hall's Mentoliptus. I got addicted to those for a while. And I was eating a family pack a day. I'd have to go to CVS once a day and get my family pack. And, you know, she just gets to sit on the sidelines and watch this madness. And it'll just be like 4 months of this. And then I finally get my arms around that. And then a new one just pops up.
Hugh hated Duolingo.
Oh, yeah.
Hated Duolingo. But no, I'll do the same. Like, my brother gave me these little lozenges and stuff. Then I have to have 15 packs of them.
Were they minty?
No, they were very medical tasting.
Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
And then, you know, I get a bunch of, and then it's all about that. And then it goes away and then something else takes its place.
I wonder what it's going to be.
We're both ex-smokers. Have you ever considered getting re-addicted to nicotine? Because there's so many safe delivery systems now.
No, I feel free.
You do.
I like to be, it feels so free not to be dependent on cigarettes and not to be dependent on alcohol. And I feel that free. I'm released from Duolingo. And again, I'm learning more
because
now.
Of turning off the leaderboard. Yeah.
Point system got taken away. But that's so funny to me because all it did was take that. Like all she had to do was remove that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm good now. Instead of ruminating, oh, do I want to get back on the leaderboard? Like that's addiction. I feel like, oh, I kind of want to go back to it. I want to see if I can. That's crazy to me that she's just like, yeah, I removed it and now you're good.
Well, I asked her to remove it. And then I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm on a book tour. And so I don't need to be number one on Duolingo to feel good about myself.
Sure, self-esteem.
You know, that I'm getting, rewarded for my book.
Yeah.
Have they approached you about being an ambassador to the product or a paid spokesperson? Because you now write about it so much, I feel like they should employ you.
I think not, because I write about it in a cautionary way, I think.
Okay, another thing, and I know this is all annoying to be like armchair psychologized from afar, but I wondered if the C-section and the art collection are subtle fuck yous to your dad. Meaning your dad always promised the family you guys would
Right.
get a vacation house on Emerald Isle, and he just never delivered on that. And you got to deliver on that while he was alive. And then he also loved paintings and collected a bunch of artwork. And then you got to do that, but you got to collect kind of real artwork.
And when it comes to the artwork, like I remember we were in Greece. I was in Greece with my dad, and we were in this tourist town. And then my dad's like, this guy, I might buy one of his paintings. It'll really escalate in value. And I said, Dad, there's that guy in every town this size in the world. Like his work is never going to escalate in value. My father would never give me that. He would never give me that, like the artwork that he bought in Raleigh. There was that in every town the size of Raleigh. Do you know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean that it's not.
There's nothing special or unique about it.
Yeah, there's not. But because he didn't get out and he didn't go to museums and he didn't read things and look at things, he didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And also, he didn't want to spend the money.
Right.
Right. And there are people who will, there's this Salmantour. I bought a Salmantour painting, who's this fellow from Pakistan. And you can't even touch his stuff now. And I just got some early on.
Nice.
And 2 museums have borrowed it so far. And but I don't do that too often. I just, but I don't buy things as an investment.
Yeah.
But my father, I would say, like I went to art school. Like this has been an interest of mine since I was 14.
Yeah.
I think I know more
Exactly.
than you do. But
Yes.
just someone just not giving you that
Yeah.
is
Not
so
saying,
frustrating.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is frustrating.
And at the beach house, he would go to the beach and he'd say, what do you say we get a house on the beach? And we were so excited, and we get a real estate agent and go look at places. And there was always a reason that we didn't get it. Instead, we was going to put a bar in the basement, and we fell for it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So when we were all there as adults, we all went to the beach. We hadn't been together at the beach in a long time. And then the 3rd day I was there, Hugh made an appointment with the real estate agent, and we bid on a house. And by the 4th day, we had a house. And my father was like, you can't do that. What about the roof? Maybe the new. And I said, if the roof needs replacing, I'll replace the roof.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let it stop me.
Yeah, you're just like closing the loop on the things he left
But you didn't
open.
ask about the air. How old's the air conditioner? I said, don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had a guest, a reader, a guest that wrote you a letter and said, I want to come to a live show, but I have Tourette's. A woman?
Yeah.
And you said, of course, come to the show. And then she was sitting in the front row? So what ended up happening? I saw you talking about a talk show, but I knew there you had to stop short of what was probably was happening.
She said, I have Tourette's and I want to come to your show, but I don't want to be the show. And I was a little bit insulted because I know when there's someone with Tourette's in the audience. You figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right? At first you're like thrown, and then you think, oh, no, it's somebody with Tourette's. So she came, and she was in a wheelchair, and she sat in the front row. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fat. The guy at the BAFTA Awards.
Yeah.
And I was stunned by the ignorance that came out of that. People, well, he should have said, why didn't he say strawberry? Because he has Tourette's.
Yeah.
And he's got to say the most offensive thing possible, right?
That's what the condition is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when she called me fat, I didn't, I wasn't offended in the least bit, because
you knew the situation.
That's what she has to call me.
So this is fascinating, because I had a different take, which is simply, there are some things that you have that preclude you from going places. And that's just how life is.
Sure.
And it's like when men become trans women, they accept out of the gates, I'm going to be a woman, but I'll never give birth.
Right.
That's just off the table.
Right.
So my issue is like, I'm so sorry. The one thing you can't do when you have Tourette's is attend a televised fucking performance where there's going to be black folks on stage. Guess what? You have to recuse yourself from that situation.
Right. But his movie was nominated.
I know, that was
so
the
it was like
tricky
his
thing.
big night.
Then they should have had him backstage so he could experience the night. But we got the exact outcome we were always going to get. So why did we do that?
I don't know. I guess I was more inclined like this is somebody's special night. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was a lot of people's, but we elevated one person's special night among 10. I don't think we can prioritize one person over 20.
Okay, how about this?
Okay, here we go.
You can come. We're going to put a sock in your mouth like 5 times.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to put a sock in your mouth.
Anytime marginalized people are on stage, you got to put a ball gag on.
Yeah. Maybe that's what
I
I
think
do.
that could be a happy. Do you imagine if they cut to the audience? There's 2 people with ball, and you start putting together the pieces like, wow, every time there's a marginalized person on stage, those persons have their ball gag on.
Because I guess I was thinking of it too. Like, let's say that it was somebody who was quadriplegic.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, no, we'd have to put a ramp on. You know, so better not come. But instead, now we would build the ramp. You know, we would never think, well, you have to stay home.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I see both. Because I agree that, like, should Michael B. Jordan, does he have to stand up there and, like, pretend like
He's not
that's
hearing
not
the
happening
N-word.
when the N-word is being shouted at him?
Yeah, it's just like his right against him.
Right.
It's just, to me, at some point, you look at it in a utilitarian way. Like, how many people were made uncomfortable versus how many got to live out their dream?
I was given an award by the BBC like a month after that.
Uh-huh.
And then the guy got up there, the host, and he said, a BBC award show, what could go wrong? Right?
You have agreed. I've shamelessly asked you to read something from the new book,
Sure.
a very short one that I love. But before we do that, I just want to kind of publicly fillet you over. I think the story that I am most in love with, that I've listened to the most time, and I think I told you my kids like the most too, which scared me the first time I heard it with my kids in bed, is Lady Marmalade. You say Marmalade. I've heard you pronounce it
I think
Marmalade.
that I was taking it from the,
Song.
the LaBelle song.
Yeah, but it's this, for people who haven't read it, and it's in Happy Go Lucky, it's the most incredible story, in my opinion, because it has every single thing. It's an exploration of how kind of bizarre your father was, and at many times kind of creepy and perverted. In particular, there was a time where you had a stomach ache, and he suggested perhaps you have hemorrhoids. He was suspicious you had hemorrhoids. God knows why. I don't think those are comorbidities, but he implores you to bend over the sink, and he starts studying your anus, and you say he's studying it in the way that could only be described as someone might look at a gem. So, you know, this is a weird activity.
Yeah.
But he's also not a predator, and he's not an abuser. He's just this weird middle ground of like, we don't know what we file this person under, right? And that is how people are. They're weird. It's not binary. They're not like totally bad or not. It's like, it's even harder. It's like, is dad weird or not? But then, of course, Tiffany, who has her own struggles, she ends up accusing your father of having molested her, and she's uncovered repressed memories, but she's not sure what they are. And what you do so beautifully, and I think the reason you can explore all of it in a way that's not terribly offensive, and even you say, I recognize that in an era of Me Too, what I'm about to say is hard, but we didn't believe her. And I don't know why that makes me so happy to hear you be honest about how families are. Families are so unique. You know, they're not your relation with the rest of the world. There's things that are fine within a family. And there's this weird magical relationship between siblings where it's like, we are the meanest to each other. We'll tell you, and your sister walks down with a zit and you're like, whoa, you have a fucking zit. You know, like you're just so cruel. And then you also kill for them and defend them. And it's just a very specific and unique experience being in a family. And the honesty that you bring to that, I just left that thing going, man, you tackled everything that was hard. And we come out of it, me going like, yeah, he knows what it's like to be in a family. That's what it's like to be in a family. That's the experience right there. And I just love it so much.
I've gotten so many letters from people who have a Tiffany in their family,
Yeah.
you know, and they understand how hard it can be. Because there were certain people who were like, you're a disgusting person, you know, your sister, you turned your back on your sister, and but they don't quite understand. Like, Tiffany called my dad at one point and had enlisted a friend to tape the conversation and said, "Do you think I'm sexy?"
Like entrapping him.
Yeah, trying to entrap him. And
oh God.
and
oh no.
and then when Tiffany died, my father was like, he never seemed terribly upset about it. I never saw him cry. I never, he said she had a rotten life, and that was it.
Yeah.
A lot of people always assume that if someone in your family kills themselves, that you're overcome with guilt. Like someone just asked me that last night. Do you feel guilty? And I said, for what? Like it was for so many people who were mentally ill who wind up killing themselves. I don't know. You'd have to think pretty highly of yourself that you could stop it.
Yeah.
I also think you and I, as a gift, have the model of addiction, which is we know what it's like to be in a state of mind where nobody can really interfere. You're on your mission, and either you will get sick and tired of being sick and tired, or you won't, but no one else is going to interfere with that. And I think once you understand that, it's easier for you to apply it to people and have a little healthier distance from it, and not the illusion that you can fix it.
Sometimes be like, I can't be around it. I just can't.
That's the reality of mental illness. That if you don't have anyone in your life who's experienced it, you wouldn't know. Like, sometimes you have to walk away from that person, which does sound really mean, or you will die. It's a survival mechanism sometimes to walk away.
And I'm sure my father, from Tiffany calling and accusing him of, again, like my dad was a creep. Just because you're a creep doesn't mean you're a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help your case any.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's some inconvenient history here. Okay, so if you're open to it, I would love for you to read Punching Down.
Sure. Let's see. Here we go. Gosh, I haven't read this. Well, I read it on stage when I read the audiobook. When I recorded the audiobook, and I think that was the last time. I haven't read it out loud on the book tour. When I first moved to New York in 1990, I knew a total of 5 people. They all had lives of their own. I couldn't just plop myself down and demand their attention. So I signed up for a once-a-week class taught at the West Side YMCA, hoping I could make a friend or two there. Writing Funny, the course was called, and it was taught by a British woman named Frida Garmez, who was maybe in her mid-60s at the time and had published several books. "What are the rules of comedy writing?" she asked at the start of our first session. I put my hand up. "You should never make fun of anyone who has less power than you." Frida looked at me with a combination of disgust and pity. "Where on earth did you get that idea?" she asked. I groped for an answer. "The Village Voice, maybe?" No, she said. "The only rule in comedy is that you should always be as tasteless as possible." I think about that moment a lot. Especially now when the phrase punching down has become ubiquitous. It's the worst crime a comic or humor writer can commit, at least according to the people who now decide such things, meaning people on X who determine, based, I suppose, on your photo and a wild guess at your net worth, who you can and cannot make jokes about. Words, we are now regularly reminded, are violence. Silences as well. I read not long ago that capitalism is violence, as is misgendering someone. Ignoring someone is violence, but so too is paying attention to them. A friend recently called on one of her assistants to deliver a statistic during a business meeting and was later charged with casual violence. Apparently, Deborah needed to give advance warning that she was going to ask a question. One that might possibly put her employee, someone who was well paid to know stuff and be able to spew it forth, on the spot. Mm-hmm. Who are these hothouse flowers, all so easily and consistently wounded? People whose parents never hit them. That's who. People who don't know what real pain is, but still want to throw the word around. When I was a child, a slap across the face was too minor to qualify as casual violence. It was simply what you got for talking back or holding everyone up. It never hurt all that much. What stung was the swiftness of it, the surprise. Who knew my mother could move so fast? Like someone belted in the martial arts. I don't feel like it traumatized me to be knocked around a little. Blood was rarely drawn. No limbs were broken. Could my parents have made their point without resorting to violence? Probably. But it would have taken more time. And with 6 kids to dress and get out the door, that was a precious commodity. I see parents now who worry they're being abusive if they don't spend at least an hour putting their child to bed. An hour. I said to my sister Amy, do you remember ever once being tucked in? Can you imagine Mom and Dad reading to us or singing? Can you imagine them kissing us? Ugh, she said, stop. And look at us. We're fine. We can handle stuff. We never get offended by anything. Part of this is that there were so many of us. A child needs brothers and sisters. The more, the better. Good siblings will press your favorite doll's face onto a red-hot barbecue, then steal the money the tooth fairy left under your pillow. They'll deposit things inside of you when you're 4, then sleep with your boyfriend 12 years later. Will, in short, prepare you to live in the real world. Better still, they'll dilute the Eye of Sauron-like attention given to an only child. My mother couldn't remember our names half the time, much less care whether we felt anxious or depressed. One of the worst things that's happened to us as a country is that people are having fewer kids than they did in the past. Sure, it's good for the environment. Fewer people means less demand for resources. The problem is that single children receive a freakish amount of love and attention. Most graduate at least 12 times before leaving high school. Their every move is recorded and celebrated, and it gives them an outside sense of their own importance. Our parents thought we were okay at best, and I think that really helped us in the long run. Ask someone now if they have kids, and they're pretty much guaranteed to use the word amazing, as in, I have an amazing 6-year-old daughter. Amazing because she just discovered a cure for MS? Or because she speaks 3 words of Spanish? I always want to ask. I mean, just how low have you set that bar? The solution isn't for every couple to start having 5 kids, but maybe for one chosen couple to have 5, and the other 4 couples to go without. Either have a full litter you can't dote on, or nothing at all. If our schools are a mess, it's in large part due to these parents who think their kids are special, who get mad if you contradict their brilliance, if you give them a bad grade, or, God forbid, try to take their phones away. Had one of my teachers told my mother that I was acting up in class, she'd have said, thank you so much for letting me know. Then she'd have come to wherever I was, in front of the TV or at the side of the TV, making my way to the front of it, and slapped my sister Gretchen so hard her eyes would have crossed. What was that for? Gretchen would have asked. Oops, wrong kid, my mother would have said. Then she'd have slapped me twice as hard to make up for my mistake. I was in Los Angeles not long ago, staying at a hotel in Bel Air. Houses in that neighborhood start at $20 million, so of course there are no sidewalks. You wouldn't want the wrong people wandering in. So I was on the far edge of a winding street, Porsches and BMWs racing by, when I saw a van-sized private school bus pull up in front of a gated mansion. A mother ushered her child, age 7 or so, through the door as I passed. I walked on for another 5 minutes before turning back, surprised to see that the school bus hadn't moved in the time I'd been gone. Rather, it was where I had left it, the engine idling, the mother still at the door, mewing over the sound of her crying child. Well, Atticus, honey, where do you want to sit? So the bus driver and all these kids had to wait until this one woman's son was happy with his seat. I think that if you don't want to spank or slap your child, that is fine, your decision. but that other people should be completely allowed to. Not higgledy-piggledy, but in this situation, the driver had every right to yank Atticus into whichever seat was empty, saying, "Shut the fuck up, we're leaving." Children now are like animals who have no natural predators left. Had I arrived at my elementary school with a bleeding head wound, explaining that my father had just thrown me out of his moving car because I was teasing my sister, the teacher would have handed me a Band-Aid saying, "Well, I hope you learned a lesson from it." Now, even a scratch on the back of your hand could get your parents locked up for abuse, and children know this. In a London park one afternoon, I saw a woman glaring into the distance to where 3 kids, aged 7 to 9, were breaking branches off a tree. "Hey, you boys," she shouted, "stop doing that. You can't talk to us," the ringleader shouted back. And he was right. At least legally, according to the law, the woman was bullying them. I was in a crowded restaurant one night and saw this 4-year-old running back and forth across the candlelit dining room. Her parents, charmed. This as servers were carrying heavy trays of hot food. I kept waiting for the manager to say something, but they're all afraid now of being condemned on social media. She didn't seem innately horrible, this girl, but I think we'd all been better off had someone said, "You sit down right now."
Yeah.
In this case, though, it was really the parents who needed to be hit. Ditto the couple I saw the next morning at breakfast. They came with 2 kids, age maybe 4 and 6, and each of them was watching a different program on an iPad. Neither had headphones on, and the high-pitched voices of the cartoon characters, "Let's go see what the letter M is up to," were super disturbing. If this was a sports bar, the sort with billboard-sized TVs and loud music playing at the same time, it might have been different. But it was the restaurant of a nice hotel, one that offered room service. Do the parents know that this is not their house, I wondered? Thinking, finally, of a couple I saw on the subway in Yokohama once. Their 18-month-old son was with them. And when the boy wanted to look out the window, his mother removed his shoes, took a towel out of her bag, and spread it upon the seat so that he could stand on it. Just before we reached their station, the woman pulled out a small spray bottle along with a paper napkin and cleaned the kid's handprints off the glass. So actually, maybe that's a solution. You have a child or 2 and then send them off to be raised in Japan until they're 18 or so and have learned proper manners. When they return and you tell them how absolutely awesome and special they are, they will look at you and blink, not understanding and thus not believing a word of it.
Oh, so good. So good and so true.
Okay, you got to go. I adore you. It's so fun when you come. I just wanted to update you on something. Another one of my very favorite stories of yours is talking about what we call, when we do the prompt, foreign objects and bodies, which is what nurses and doctors call anyone who sticks something up their ass. And you have the funniest story about, the explanation is always, "I slip and fell."
Right.
And that your theory is you could be holding, what are you holding at the top of the Empire State Building stairs?
Oh gosh, I could be holding, it's not a rolling pin, is it? It's
like a candelabra or something?
I could be holding, 2 candles?
We could get Delta in here. She has this whole thing memorized as well. But the point is, you're holding a ton of stuff, and you're pretty certain that if you fell down all 96 flights of the stairs, when you stood up, you would not have a candle stuck in your rectum. But I just wanted you to know that we do a prompt now. So about once every 3 months, people submit stories of foreign objects and body. And we've now just had our 3rd one comes out next Friday. And you would be fast. I do encourage you to listen to these. It's all nurses and doctors telling the stories. And we've heard some that would make your head spin.
There are some.
Next week, in fact, the one that's coming out is, the woman was calling about one story, and then just as a side note, because I always ask them, like, how many have you seen? They've all seen 40 or 50 of these. It's always men. There's almost never been a woman that's been
women don't
admitted.
do that.
That's why it was a sidebar. She goes, well, we did have one woman once, and she was a furry. She identified as a furry who was a cat. And when she came in, she had to admit she had wanted to experience what it's like to have a litter of kittens.
To birth kittens.
And she had put 3
wow.
kittens in her vagina.
Wow.
And they scratched her up.
Well, yeah, we don't know what happened in there,
We don't.
but she did die.
She passed from it.
So before she could hear the pussy jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of pussy to be had there. Yeah. It's like, where do we want?
many
We know we're
pussy
using
jokes.
pussy. Are we going to use it for the cats or the vagina?
There's just so much right there.
And then
Yeah.
one that'll make your head spin too is another one told us
Another
that
woman.
came in. She had put 3 razor blades in her vagina and then super glued her labia shut.
Huh.
I
Yeah.
know.
So she arrives, she announces this, they send her up to surgery. In the meantime, the nurse reads her chart and discovers she has Munchausen's. And when you have Munchausen's, there's a very specific protocol for the doctors because they don't want to give you the payoff you're looking for. So you have to be kind of disinterested, not a lot of follow-up questions. Don't offer more services. If they'll try to get you to like feed them and do all this stuff and you have to resist. So the woman comes out of surgery. So they don't want her to stay because they know she wants to be there forever. So they're going to discharge her in an hour. She calls the family, come get them in an hour. So she got basically an hour in there. And the woman who had been admitted said, can I work on my homework while I'm waiting to get picked up? And the nurse thought, well, how bad could this be? She goes to her book bag that was in a box in a closet. She gets out the one folder she needs. She said she shook it upside down. She got a pen that she felt safe about, gave it to her. She left, got back to her nurse station, and in 5 minutes, the bell rang. She went in there and she said, what's going on? She said, I swallowed a razor blade. And she goes, where did you get the razor blade? And she held up her binder and she had put a hole at the top of it and hid razor blades in the binder.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. I was
The kittens.
signing books and I met a woman, a dentist, a couple weeks ago. And I said, do you see a lot of thrush? You know,
What's
that
thrush?
it's a
Oh, yeah.
bacterial disease that turns your tongue white.
Ooh.
And she said, occasionally, she said, but what I notice more often is bruising in the backs of women's throats, particularly on February 15th. Yes.
No.
And I said, I didn't know that the back of the throat could bruise. She said, oh, quite clearly. And there are like spots on the back of the throat when it bruises. And she said, other times I'll notice it and I'll say, what'd you do last night? And a woman will say, celebrated my husband's birthday or my boyfriend's birthday. But why don't we know this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why don't
no one's-
we already know this? Like,
No.
Yeah.
because if you were going to go to the dentist tomorrow,
Mhm.
wouldn't you be like, not today?
Make sure I don't have
Yeah.
any dick bruises
Yeah.
in the back.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Can you
Oh,
imagine
God.
like being that, somebody doing that? I mean, there must be people who have done that before.
Oh, as
that
we
would
talk
get
to
off
these
on it.
nurses and doctors pretty regularly now, they're seeing every single imaginable thing. Like if you can think about it, they've seen it.
People like to shock. I mean, that's also a big majority of us just really like shock value.
But I feel like so many of the things people put up their ass and they do it again and again. I feel like if you're a doctor, you could say, you know what? I got people who were in car accidents.
I know.
I've got people, you know what? You wait. You're just going to have to wait
Yeah.
until what time? If it's today, if it's not today,
Yeah.
until what time? Because you put a horseshoe up your ass. Like something that doesn't isn't even conducive.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, David, we've now heard people put like whole propane tanks up their ass where now they can't operate on it because there's that hazardous explosive. Like they got to get the bomb unit in there. But the thing that makes me sympathetic, the reason I'm so compassionate is more than half of the stories start with what, Monica?
The wife was out of
Yeah.
town.
More than half
Yeah.
are the wife was out of town's the first bit of information you get, and you think these poor men have been waiting,
They want
and they're
the
almost always older men too.
I spent 10 days at the medical examiner's office in Phoenix, and they take a picture of everyone who comes in. And the wife's out of town.
Yes.
The husband dresses in her clothes, autoerotic
Oh my
asphyxiation,
God.
accidentally dies. So the wife has no idea, comes back, husband's dead in the closet, hung himself, not fooling anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not
Right.
Exactly.
like, but just the just with pantyhose on and
Bra, maybe.
and a bra
Yeah.
and a wig, and then hanging dead in the closet. But to
It's
find,
horrible.
but nobody. I wrote about that in a radio story once, and they cut it out. Nobody talks about. It's an epidemic. Like it
Yeah.
never occurred to me. I had to read about it because it never occurred to me. Oh, I know. I'll hang myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Duh.
While masturbating. That should be fun. It wouldn't occur to me.
It's not obvious to me.
And maybe they don't talk about it because they don't want people doing it.
Right.
Right.
So many people do it and they just do it a little bit too long. So when I'm reading the newspaper and it's an obituary for like a, 17, 18, 19, 20, or even an older person, there's no cause of death.
That's
I
where your
think
mind goes
Pretty
to.
Yeah,
much auto
I think-
Yeah, they were in pantyhose, a brassiere, and a.
But it's
yeah.
because they have kinks that they feel embarrassed they can't tell their partner or do.
It makes me sad. All
Yeah,
of them.
so then they wait till they're out of town and then they die.
Yeah.
That the moral is that wives should never go out of
I
town.
literally,
It
that's
is,
what we were like,
it is.
oh
Everyone out
God,
of town.
it's
They
the
can't
women's
risk it.
fault.
If you're over 50, you cannot leave your over 50-year-old husband at home. God knows what you'll come home to.
Man.
David, I adore you. I
Thank
just
you
want to
so
join
much.
your life. I want to retire and then just go on the road with you and be Dawn and just help with the book signings or something. So just that offer's on the table if she wants to sit out sometime and you just need a right-hand man for free.
Well, you know what? I'm coming back I have a show in Pasadena in the fall.
Oh, you do?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to be your assistant.
I'm going to need somebody to go down that line.
Okay. I would love
Oh,
that.
that'd be fun.
Yes, I would love that. Okay. I adore you.
I know,
My
you're
first
just the best.
parasocial relationship and real life relationship. It's confusing and exhilarating. So I can't
For
wait
me
for you
as
to
well.
come back. Okay, good. Oh, everybody get The Land and Its People. It's fucking brilliant,
For you.
as are all of them. 15 in a row that are brilliant is incredible.
Incredible.
The Land and Its People. It's out now. Get it.